Or
How
invisible.
many sizes? Maybe.
Oh wait, those two,
Yeah.
yeah. And you can switch out with me if that's better. This will work.
Yeah, she wants to be on
So before I start the class, from the yogic side of things, we live in Nashville-ish. And someone famous lived here for a while named Johnny Cash. And if you've never been to that museum, I think it's on 3rd Avenue in Nashville, you should go. It's not one of those museums that's overwhelming, it's actually really fun to go through. So if you ever have anybody visiting from out of town, or if you just feel like being a tourist in your own city, I highly suggest going. It's fantastic. I've been like 3 different times. But he had a famous song, and it burns, 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 right? And the ring of fire. So that's our theme for today. I almost played that song, but we all know it. So I didn't think it was necessary. But the ring of fire is what they were calling the eclipse that just happened on Saturday. Now, the ring of fire eclipse is not a typical event because of the location of where the moon happened to be at that specific time. So I'll explain it. There were 4 supermoons in a row. In fact, the last full moon we had in Aries was the final of the 4 supermoons. When there's a supermoon, that means the moon is in its closest proximity to the planet. And we know that the moon has an effect on the tides of the ocean. And guess what? We're made up of like 75% water ourselves. So that's why there's a term called lunatic. It's taken after the term luna, and which is the Spanish term for moon, right? Because people get a little crazy, right? The energy's more abundant and we can become more emotional, right? Things can trigger us. And there's 2 nodes of the moon, if you study astrology, and one involves karma and one involves dharma. Karma is kind of like you reap what you sow kind of thing. Things are going to come back to you. You may have to repeat some things until you learn your lesson. But the dharma is about your purpose, your path in life. So, with that being said, the new moon we just had in Libra was actually the farthest away from the planet. So it went from the closest to being far out. When that eclipse happened, because the moon was at that degree, when the moon was eclipsing or coming in between the planet and the sun, and you had that crossover, even at the places where it was the full eclipse. Now, we had that full eclipse in 2017 here in Nashville. I don't know if you were outside and could see it, but it literally went dark, right? It overshadowed the whole sun. The ring of fire is different because the moon's smaller. It passed over the sun and created a ring of fire. So this light became really a circle, and it was brilliant. I put a couple pictures on the Facebook business page of Moonbeam Yoga if you want to take a look. A couple people sent it to me from Texas. So that is very significant because that's a more rare event. Now, eclipses used to be something that people feared in the past because they thought God was mad at them because all of a sudden the sun disappeared, right? But then it would always come back. Then the ancient people learned how to work with the cycles of the eclipse, and they could start to predict when this was going to happen. In modern times, we don't pay that much attention except to get the cool glasses on and see it. But there is significance to this energetically. Now, I want you to think about something else that was happening in the skies, because that rare event is not going to happen for another 16 years. We will not have another ring of fire eclipse until 2039. So, what else happened in the skies was Mars went into Scorpio. Mars is considered the god of war. Look what happened last week as we were leading up to the eclipse. So that horrific event happened like a week before, this eclipse was coming. And the energy is always coming in before it happens. And then with the eclipse, it carries us into the future for months, sometimes years at a time. In fact, astrologers will actually say, if the eclipse happened for 4 minutes, it's going to affect us for 4 years. So with that being in Scorpio, Scorpio is ruled by 2 planets, Mars, I already said the god of war, but also Pluto, which is considered the lord of the underground. So Pluto's stations in different places, celestial skies, will show a different energy, but Pluto is about digging up the dirt. It's about looking at things that's been buried, things that haven't been dealt with, things that have been obscured, truths being revealed, things coming up. And the eclipse is about shocking events, sudden changes, abrupt endings, or exciting new beginnings. It can be a lot of different things. So it could be really positive for you. It could also be a negative thing for you. They're not always negative. Sometimes they have a lot of positive energy involved. Then this particular eclipse was really about relationships. And it had something to do with Aries and Libra. Libra is like the one for justice, equality, peace, right? And then you've got the Aries, which is leadership, all about me, but also a little aggressive, right? So we have this polarity kind of playing out. But with the relationship aspect, it's concerning the more romantic and intimate type of relationships. So I was just sharing with Dad, I had a fine weekend. My relationship was fine, but my son came home Friday night and he was having his first girlfriend for like the last year. And she went to college, right? And they were able to see each other when she came home to visit Friday night. And he came in and I could tell his energy was off. And he wasn't really talking or saying much to me other than kind of hanging out and saying, okay, good night, Mom. So I followed him upstairs to realize, I'm like, something's off. Like, what's going on? Are you okay? He's like, well, we almost broke up. We didn't, but we almost broke up. So I was able to sit and share with him, you know, there's an eclipse tomorrow, because he doesn't pay any attention. I'm like, there's an eclipse tomorrow, and it's all about relationships. And the decisions we make now are going to carry us, like any decision or choice, into the future. And this eclipse is about recognizing those intimate relationships as being a reflection of us. It's like the mirror work that you do with relationships. They're going to show you things about yourself that you're not going to like, right? And vice versa. You're going to reveal to them some things. And the energy is asking us to be vulnerable and to be honest and to be courageous and to be communicative and to be able to look at it all, but also instead of blaming or pointing fingers at the other person, it's actually looking in the mirror going, what's my part? Where am I falling short? Not looking at their shortcomings, but looking internally at yours. And that's hard work to do, because we often have the blinders on when it comes back in. So anyway, I wanted to give you the energy of that particular eclipse because it is a big event and it's going to carry us forward. And the other thing I want to explain some things that we're going to be doing today physically in the body that ties in with this. So we talk about the solar plexus being the place of inner fire. And this is the place of the indwelling sun. And this is where we have our power center, our strength, our confidence, our courage, all stems from our gut. So we're going to be doing some core work. It's not my favorite either, but we're going to do some core work today. And then because it's about relationships, we need to work in the hips as well. Because the sacral area of the body, which is the hips, reproductive organs, low belly, low back, that's about change. It's about relationships. It's about our own seat, our own self. And it's about discovering how we can find harmony in the mix of polarity. And we'll talk about that a little bit later when we get to another pose. So with that in mind, we're gonna lay down to our backs. And we're gonna experiment in a minute with a few positions. So one of those positions is going to be the feet flat and knees bent. And let your knees lean into each other. Place your hands on your belly. Close your eyes. And just sense and feel what is happening in your back. This may be what you need today. And once you've created this mental assessment, I want you to extend your legs out in front of you. And bring the feet fairly close together so the legs are parallel, and continue with that mental assessment. Do that inner investigative work. How is this feeling to your low back? Because we're all unique, we're all different, and we all hold stress and tension in different places. Now slide your feet apart, about as wide as you're sitting at. And notice the change, the difference. And then I want you to stay either in this pose, if this is the best one, or maneuver into one of those other two positions that felt the best for you. And this is how we can personalize our practice. Because it's not one size fits all. Now that you've created a comfortable position, start your mindful breath work. Breathing in and out fully and completely through the nose. If you're stopped up, breathe through your mouth. But engage with your breath in such a way that you're truly increasing that intake of airflow into your lungs. But also equally pushing that air back out because we're releasing some toxins this way. And we can also reduce our stress this way. And we can induce relaxation with that out breath. If you've been feeling drained or depleted or fatigued, the inhalations are going to help you to feel more revitalized. I heard something the other day talking about the divine masculine and feminine, and they said we've been in this overly masculine state where it's been all about the inhale, and now we're moving more towards the feminine, which is about the exhale. Let's take 3 more deep breaths. On your next inhale, let's go ahead and bend the knees if you're not there already. Allow the ankles to line up underneath the bent knees. Allow your arms to line up beside you, palms face down. We're gonna do an abdominal breath flow. So when you pressurize your feet, tuck the tailbone, lift thighs, hips, abdomen, chest, go ahead and circle the arms overhead. Now, if it's too much for the shoulders to track beside your ears, you can widen your arms. And as you exhale, scoop in through the belly, circle the arms back to the mat and lower down 1 vertebra at a time. Slow deep breathing, slow conscious movement. Inhale, rising to bridge. And exhale, rolling back to the earth. Now keep this going. When you're pushing down through the soles of the feet, root down through the inseams of the feet so that you are keeping your knees narrow, more stable, and strengthening the inner quad muscle. And then play a little game with yourself. On your next inhale, see if it's possible to lift your hips a little higher and maybe your chest a little bit more towards your chin. And then we're going to amp this up a little bit. The next time you inhale, you're lifting to bridge the same way as before. But on your out breath, you're gonna roll down and you're gonna crunch in like a cannonball. Nose towards knee. And then we flatten the feet, arms circle up, hips rise, Setu Bandhasana bridge. Exhale, rolling back down, contracting the belly, lifting the head up towards the knees. Don't strain your neck though. Continue that repetition. 3 more rounds. Go at the pace of your breath. The slower you go, the more strength you build. All right, now let's land the feet and the backside of the head to the floor. The next one, we're gonna inhale, lift the feet. We're gonna lift the arms. So it's very similar to waterfall, except now the arms are included, okay? Fingertips are reaching towards the sky, and then pull the belly in, and exhale, lift your head, neck, shoulders. Inhale, bend the knees, catch them with your hands. Exhale, draw the knees in and lower the backside of your head. Inhale, extend arms and legs upward. Exhale, pull the navel in towards the spine, pump up. Inhale, bend the knees, catch them with the hands, and exhale, lower back down. All right, inhale, that version of waterfall. Exhale, core work to lift. Inhale, bend the knees, keeping the head up initially, and then exhale, roll it down. Just one more, just like that. Once you lower it down, I want you to turn your head side to side, shoulder to shoulder. Loosen up those neck muscles if they've started to become included in that work. Bring the head to stillness, open your arms nice and wide. Roll the knees off to the left. Good, inhale, grip your belly, draw them through center, and exhale, let them land over to the right. Now, if it's troublesome for the back to keep the feet hovering, then it's okay to land the feet to the floor and just swish the knees side to side. But you're gonna keep that going as you breathe. The inhale crosses through the middle, and you exhale, land to one or the other side. So core work is not all about crunches. We started off that way, but the core work actually involves these twists as well. Now, the next time you land the knees over to the left side, remain there. Let your feet lower, let your knees lower. It's okay if there's a gap in between the thighs, but just kind of open up, relax, lounge, breathe. Fill your belly up as you breathe in, and let it flatten more as you breathe out. And I want you to think about when we're doing twist. It's like we have a wet sponge or a washcloth and we're wringing it out. So twist can be very detoxifying. Good, on your next inhalation, let's bring the knees through the middle and send them over to the right. And this time, instead of working on the core aspect that was taking us from one to the other, let's just relax into it now. And maybe even notice there's a ripple effect or a wave-like sensation with the breath. Feel how it moves from the belly up into the left side of the chest near the heart. So picture in your mind's eye the ring of fire, you know, that idea of the eclipse that's leaving that ring of yellow, the outer edges. The significance of that design is important because it's showing the sun representing a state of consciousness, the moon representing subconsciousness, and that light of consciousness burning into our awareness, what is hanging out in the shadows or in the recesses of our mind. The other significance is that it represents a symbol of hope, that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Affirm here as you hold and breathe. I am opening myself up to a new flow of energy and life within. Now let's go ahead and roll over to the right side body. Push down through your left hand and come up. Have your knees bent, and then you're gonna fan them apart just enough to take your hands in between the legs to grab your outer ankles and to pick up your feet. Okay? I want you to have fun with this. This is very playful and childlike. Sneaky core work though too. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll back and roll forward and try to catch ourselves. And then clap 3 times. Roll, roll forward, clap, clap, clap. Roll back, try not to avoid the head. Roll forward, try to avoid the feet. Clap, clap, clap. This is more of a Pilates move. Last one. Good, then draw the feet in. Keep the knees wide open. Elongate the vertebrae and fold forward. Now this is called Baddha Konasana. Konasana means angle. The Baddha means bound, so it means bound angle pose. The longer you keep your spine as you fold, the more you're going to feel that stretch through the inside of your thighs, your hips. So this is about that sacral chakra. The one that rules relationships. Take some deep breaths in and out through the nose. Inhale gently back the spine up. Bring the hands under the knees, close them back together. All right, I want to ask you guys a quick question. Is anyone having trouble with their SI joints? These are the joints in the lower part of the back. It may be just showing up pain or inflammation on one side or the other. Yes. Okay. So I want you to do the same thing I'm doing. And Carlos, you may want to do what I'm doing as well. The rest of you have a choice. Okay, so I'll show you really quick what we're going to do. We're going to land at tabletop. So if you need more padding, you can put that blanket underneath your knees. So what I'm going to do for this, because I can sometimes have some issues with my SI joint too, I'm going to keep the spine long, and I'm not going to lift that leg that I'm extending behind me any higher than the hip. So I'm keeping a more linear line and then scrunching in, nose towards knee. Those of you that don't have that problem, you can go more into a back bend by lifting the head and the right heel, and then exhale, crunching in, okay? So you have choices. Let's start in table, and then we'll inhale, press the right leg back behind us. And then from here, you determine, do you want to reach out to the heel and the crown of your head and look down, a long linear line, or do you want the back bend in that cow effect? Your choice. But we're all going to exhale the same way, which is pulling in through the belly, pushing the ground away from you with your hands, and drawing the nose towards the knee. And then we inhale, extend. Exhale, pull in. And we're going to do a set of 5. So that was 2, 3. Ujjayi breath is great for this. So if you know that type of breath work where it's audible to hear, you can add it in. After the 5th, lower the right knee, return to table. Okay, left leg next. You can take your left leg back, flexing the ankle, determining here, straight back or back bend, your choice. And then exhale, contracted, draw in. So the inhales are great for extending out, and the exhalations are great for pulling in. So if you're ever doing a home practice, you may find that's very intuitive, or you may have to remember. Inhale, extend and open. Exhale, contract and fold in. We're only doing 5. Once you complete the 5, lower that knee to table, step your hands forward just a tad, curl the toes, pop up, downward facing dog. Now, in this pose, we want the arms extending. We want the spine extending. So if you feel like your shoulders are stacking over your hands, if your hamstrings are blocking you from achieving that, it's better to bend the knees and to pull the hips up and back, up and back, up and back towards that back wall. Let your head hang between the arms. Take a deep breath in through your nose and let the breath sigh out through your mouth. Walk the feet forward. Peeling the hands up along the way until you arrive at the top of the mat, folding in half. Letting your neck and your arms go. And there's a couple of different ways to approach this pose. We can have the knees bent, or we can have the legs straight and the muscles more engaged. Again, that's a choice you need to determine based on what you're feeling throughout your body. Holding your Uttanasana and affirming here, nothing and no one on this earth can hold me down or back. Now, since we're folding over the legs, this is part of the root chakra. It ties into ancestral roots, family life, things that have been passed down from generation to generation, and past conditioning. I shared with you Western astrology, but in Vedic astrology, they are saying this is a beautiful time to work on healing ancestral patterns, wounds, and traumas. Inhale, let's slide the hands up the shins. Prop and lengthen. Exhale, buckle the arms and fold back down and in. Inhale, press down to the feet. Sweep the arms to your sides and up overhead. Exhale, bring hands back down to the heart. All right, we're gonna do a couple more of those. Inhale, the arms circle wide. Good, exhale, swan dive forward and down, Uttanasana. Inhale, slide your hands up your legs. Create some space. Exhale, drop back in. Inhale all the way up. We're gonna do one more half sun south. Exhale, hands to prayer position. Good, inhale. Exhale. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, close into self. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Beautiful. We're going to find our blocks and we're going to stack them beside the feet. Now, some of you have that blanket because you had it down to the knees. You may need that blanket again. However, you're going to have to step over that blanket. So make sure the blanket is close to your heels so that you can scale over it without tripping. And if you don't need a blanket, don't worry about it. Okay, hands to prayer. Inhale, arms circle back up. Exhale, we're going to take the hands to the blocks. We're going to step back with the left foot. So way back, keep the right knee lunging. All right, now drop your head and look at your back foot. Make sure the toes are facing you and not angled to the side. And then pressurize the front foot and start to elevate your arms and torso to crescent lunge. Now, if you're way off balance here, you can bring the hands back down, you can offset the back foot, you can ground the heel and do more of a warrior one. All right, from your crescent, deep breath in, lift through your side body. Exhale, bend your hands back down to the blocks. Touch down with your back knee. Good. Now untuck the back toes. And you're going to walk the blocks back, stack to the fingertips into the half lunge. Okay, good. Lift your left arm. And then as you exhale, curve and lean to the right. And as you do that, you may be able to put the heel of your hand on the block. Don't worry if you can't. We're all different. Basically just using that block for balance. Good, inhale, draw it up. Exhale, bring that hand down. Scoot the blocks forward. And now sink into your hips. Yeah. Chris, was that good? She just went. All right, curl the back toes out. Make sure that front foot's flat. Curl the back toes, pop up that back knee, spring that back foot forward, and immediately step back with your right foot, lunge the front knee. All right, so you're in this lunge at first. Drop your head, look at your back toes. And if your balance is really unsteady, you can always hop that foot forward and step it down like that. All right, pressurize the front foot. Let's build the arms up, the trunk up. Head over shoulders, shoulders over hips. Find one spot to look at with your eyes. That can be helpful. And then reach through your side body. Good, exhale, take the arms around. Tip down to the back knee, untuck the back toes, and try to make sure that your knee is not going way past your ankle. So if you need to step that left foot forward, that's okay. We'll walk the blocks back. As we walk the blocks back, we're pulling up through the pelvic floor. Bringing the right arm up. Exhale, curve to the left, maybe landing that left hand, or just using the fingertips for a challenge. Breathe. Good, inhale, draw up. Exhale, bring that hand down. Walk the blocks forward, drop into the hips. Which hip is speaking more to you today, your left or your right? Yours is always right. Is that your husband showing up? Just kidding. The right side is the masculine side, and since we're dealing with relationships, it usually deals with a male figure. It doesn't have to be your spouse, right? It could be your son, it could be your father, it could be your boss, it could be your neighbor, if you have a nosy neighbor. The left side's the feminine, but it could also be ourself, right? If it's your left hip and you're a female, it could be something you're not releasing. Same with men if it's your right side. So always turn that reflection back in. Curl the back toes, pop at that knee, step that foot forward or drag it forward, and fold back down again. All right, we're gonna go through a vinyasa here. So the blocks are gonna kind of go off the mat a minute, and we're gonna step into our plank. Hold your plank, and if you're too weak for plank today, come to tabletop, hands and knees. But in plank, your thighs are plucking up, your shoulders are stacked over your wrist, your head is up, you're slightly looking forward. Now bring the knees down, untuck the toes, roll down to the pubic bone, roll down to the belly, roll down to your brow. Okay, zip the legs together. And notice when you lengthen the legs and zip them more together, your glutes, your buttocks gets firmer. We want that. Roll the shoulders up towards your ears, push down through your palms, lift head, chest, belly, and then press your hips back into extended child's pose. Hands super glued to the floor, elbows lifting. The head might even want to hover, that's okay. Inhale, rock up. Drop the hips, roll it down, pubic bone, belly, ribs, chest, brow. Notice how your legs may have loosened. Line up your legs again, stretch them back. Roll the shoulders up towards the ears and then slowly push through your palms. Come up cobra. Lift the hips. Push back. Extended child's pose. All right, we're going to do that one more time. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, just start to lower to the pubic bone, to the belly, to the ribs, to the chest, to the face. Line up your legs, roll the shoulders back. That will encourage you to start to rise, up through snake, back into child's pose. But when you get to child's pose this time, let go in your arms. Let your elbows spill down. Let your fingertips slightly curl in. So the weight is out of your hands. Affirming, and now release and relax from all outer involvements into my own inner haven of peace. I want you to know that each and every one of us have a platform. Each and every one of us has a circle of trust. Each and every one of us has places and people we go to after this class. And we can be the change we want to see in the world. We can be the light. We can be the love. We can be the peace. We can be the kindness And then, when we're doing that, we're giving other people permission to do the same. Inhale, stretch your arms out in front of you. Rock up hands and knees. Exhale, lift back up, downward facing dog. And I want you to think about some of that core work we were doing earlier. Imagine fires blazing in the belly. And the indwelling place of the moon is at the crown of the head. Bring that consciousness to the subconsciousness. Even bowing the head this way, the subconscious part of the brain is at the backside of the skull. The higher state of consciousness is at the brow. Now let's slowly walk and travel the feet forward towards the top of the mat. Folding back down and in. We're going to close out this Surya Namaskara by sweeping the arms to the sides and up. And then exhale, bringing hands back down to the heart. Right, so that song, that John Cash song. Remember that little lyric I gave? And it burns, burns, burns. We're about to bring some burn to our legs, okay? So we're going to broaden the base of the left foot, spread out your toes, shift your weight, stacking hip, knee, ankle. Take your left hand to your waist, catch the right knee. Gaze at one spot. Turn the knee to the right side, opening the hip. See if you can bring that foot to the inner calf or inner thigh or tree. And lift up your branches. Let the leaves fall. And then sink down with your right foot. Your left leg burn a little bit. It's more challenging when you like flow from one balancing pose to the other. So I realize this is a gentle class and that's your challenge for today. If you need to step down and then go into the next pose, it's fine. Spread out your right foot, ground it down. Right hand to the waist. Catch your left leg. Zip up through the belly. Open the hip. Creating tree. Let the leaves fall. And let the left foot drop. And just even assess that, like, because we held it for about the same time. So which calls more of the burn, the left or the right, the feminine and the masculine? Things to assess, things to be introspective about. All right, we're doing another balancing pose. But we're going to do Shuni Mudra. And it's the symbol for patience. So it's the second finger, middle finger to thumb. We're going to second stand on the left leg. We're going to bring in our deity arms. And then we're going to lift and flare the hip, knee, foot. So this depicts, or mimics rather, the depiction of Shiva, who dances in the ring of fire. And that ring of fire is transformative. It's the whole birth, life, death, rebirth process. All right, if you want the challenge, you're gonna take the right foot behind you. You're gonna hinge from the hips. You're gonna turn your mudra and face down. Then you're gonna see if you can come back up. Requires concentration. And release. All right, right leg next. Arms up second. Lift and flare the left leg. You can stay here or challenge. Back. And release. Whew. All right, we're gonna need our blocks for the next maneuver. So you're gonna stand about a third to halfway down your mat. Your blocks are gonna be on the second height, which looks like this. And you're gonna place them kind of at the latter half of your feet. So not all the way up at your toes, more at your heels. Okay, if anyone has like poor knees and you can't do this toe balance, just come on down to the floor. But if you have pretty good knees, lift your arms up, lift your heels up, bend your knees, and you may get some snap, crackle, pops as you start to drop towards toe balance. And as soon as you come down, bring the hands to the blocks, find them behind you, right? Take your time. Okay, so we're gonna lean the belly into the thighs, plant the palms on the block. Lean your weight back into your hands so that you can contract your core, fly the feet out, buckle the arms, and sit down. Yeah. When you first start, it's more plopping, and that's okay. All right, once we're here, you can send those blocks out. And we're gonna send the legs out. So we're splitting the legs. This is Konasana. And then what you want to notice in Konasana, if you feel like you're doing this number and you feel like your spine's rounding, then you may need a bolster to sit on the edge like this. Do you see how it's giving me that different pelvic action? Because you want the hip bones to be slightly angled towards your thighs. Okay. From here, push down through your leg bones. Yep. And then look at your feet. Are they fanning out? Are they flopping in? See if you can correct them. Be on the middle of the heels with your toes pointed towards the ceiling. Already that's work, right? You feel that muscular work. All right, lift your arms, splay them wide. Exhale, we're gonna take the right arm over towards the left leg. Inhale, helicopter up. Exhale, take left arm towards the right. We're not trying to touch the toes or anything. But notice when you cross over, if that foot wants to move. And try to keep it as stationary as possible. Next time you cross over to the right foot, you're gonna bring your hands down through the middle, and you're gonna hinge forward. Crawl it out if you're more flexible, but find your edge wherever that is. So one of the things that hangs us up in our first and second chakras is fear. So I highly encourage you, if you have things in your life that are inducing fear, try to get rid of it. If the fear is showing up because you're watching the news, don't watch the news. This is what we're trying to release and let go of, because when we're in the mode of fear, we cannot be the light, the love, the peace. It cannot coexist. All right, inhale it slowly back away. And then draw the feet together. We're coming back to this pose again. We're lifting up to the crown. Exhale, we're testing it here. Did your body open up anymore? We did this fairly in the beginning. It's a little bit better this go round. And it's okay if it's not. It's information for you to take in. All right, inhale it, slowly come up. If you have your hair tied to the back of your head, take it down, because we're coming back to our spines, and have your block. We're going to start with the knees bent. We're going to tuck the tailbone, slip the block under your sacrum, and just sit on it. And since you're on your back again, and you're nearing the end of the class, I'm going to shut down these lights. So feel how everything's angling down towards your throat, towards your head. This can be a calming and cooling agent for the mind and the body. Now you can stay as you are, or you can go into the true waterfall, which is similar to what we did as a warm-up, except we weren't propped on the block. We're just lifting the feet. And this is good for our circulation. This is also great if we've been having poor nights of sleep. Visualize peace being received and coming down through the legs, collecting in the pool of the belly, and trickling down towards the lake of the heart and the mind. When you're ready, let's bend the knees, bring the feet back down, tuck and lift away from the block. Slide it from below so you can come back down to the floor. Curl the knees in. Leave your head down. While you're here, I want you to be contemplative. What do you need for Shavasana? If you have been caught up in some drama over the weekend, if it affected your sleep, I would suggest sliding your mat to the wall and doing legs up the wall. If you have been feeling lonely, isolated, full of grief, then I would suggest a bolster underneath your spine to create a restorative back bend. So you're opening your heart. If you want to move more just towards a relaxed state of being, that bolster can slide up underneath your knees. And you can stay flat on your back. I'm gonna change the music so it's more instrumental while you're setting up. This is a potent and important part of the practice. And this is where the body starts to integrate the benefits. This is the moment where we can go inside and become more meditative. Whatever you choose to do during those last few minutes, make sure that the technique you're using is going to be aiding and promoting more inner peace. Which means if you're watching your thoughts, don't get caught up in the worrisome thoughts. Delete, extract, move back to your breath. Let it go. If you're a visual person and you want to picture the ring of fire in your brow, you can use that as a reference point. sound. That's our cue to return to the breath. Make it more lively. Bring us into this present moment. To begin waking ourselves back up. To create a little movement in the extremities. And slowly begin to exit the pose. Coming up to a comfortable seat when you're ready. Bring your hands in prayer position at your heart. Allowing us to seal our practice together. To represent a unification with our heart and soul. So that we may be the light, we may be the love, we may be the peace. So affirm internally to yourself. I am full of light. I am capable of an infinite amount of love. And I am willing to be an instrument of peace. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste. There's a few of us that are wanting to create and develop a meditation for peace. It's Elena. You remember Elena from Half Moon? She moved down to Columbia. She is now teaching for Lotus Rising, a yoga studio down there. Her owner, Kelly, of that studio, me and Allison have been kind of communicating on creating some sort of Zoom online, it would be free, meditation where we all come together collectively and send the peaceful vibes out so that we're not getting caught up in fear or the divisiveness of anything political, religious or otherwise. If you're interested in that, I'll keep you informed on that. I will post it on my Moving Yoga Instagram and Facebook. Maybe even a newsletter. We were wanting to do it tonight, then things just kind of fell apart for us over the weekend. But hopefully in this next week or two, we'll get that together and you're welcome to participate. We'll try to pick a good time for everyone. We'll probably do it in the evening so that people who aren't going to work can also join in. Just giving you a heads up about that. And I'm not going to be here next Monday. So I'm going to Vermont for the weekend and I'm flying back home Monday. There will be a teacher here. I'm not sure who it's going to be. Most likely Jen, because I've asked a few of the teachers and they're already working. So it'll probably be Jen. But just check the schedule just to make sure there's classes going next Monday. And have a beautiful rest of your week.
Wow, enjoy Vermont.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Thank you, Ruby.
Bye. Thanks, you guys.